ChristianaMagintyre.net. It's the station.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Mental Health Talk with yours truly. I am Christina McIntyre. I hope that y'all had the best week that you could have, and whatever you couldn't get done, or you're worrying about, just leave that until yesterday. We can only focus on the now, and we can't worry about things that we can't control or that's in the past. We can't change the past, but we definitely have control over the now. First, give a shout out to my sponsor, Flawless Tires. You can find them at 1195 Chester Pike. Make sure you go down there and check them out, and help build up the businesses in our community. Also, if you're interested, you can find me on www.becomeyourc.com. I'll talk about our mental, our emotional, our physical, and spiritual. I believe all those four together will help develop our true identity. I sell chakra jewelry on there as well. So if you're interested in any of them items to help you on your spiritual journey, please message me on Facebook, Christina McIntyre. You could go to my business page, BYC, Become Your C. Also follow me on Instagram, Become Your C. I share poetry on there as well. I'm also on TikTok now, so you can follow me on there at Become Your C. Um, Also, I am still trying to put together things for the homeless. So if you're interested in helping out or if you want to donate, you can always message me. If you have donations, collecting, toiletries, socks. Also, since it's getting warmer, maybe some little mini fans, some non-perishable snacks and stuff like that. So if you want to help out, definitely message me. If you have something that's coming up that's working with the homeless, please message me as well. That is a population that I'm very interested in helping so that our community can get better. Excuse me. Okay, so the topic for this week is mental health and substance abuse. A lot of times we don't understand the ins and outs of why people are addicted to things or why people's mental health is the way that it is. A lot of times you can have mental health without having substance abuse, or you can have substance abuse without mental health, but they can, a lot of times they call it co-occurring with each other. Um, a substance abuse, I'm going to give you a brief definition, a disorder that affects a person's brain and behavior, their inability to control their use of substances such as legal or illegal drugs, alcohol, or medications. A lot of people don't realize that substance abuse can come in many different forms. Also, tobacco use is substance abuse as well. Nicotine is a drug. A lot of people do smoke. I smoke, which is not a great thing, but for me, it helps calms me down and keeps me at bay. But it definitely is one of those substance abuse um, substance that a lot of people that do suffer from mental health turn to. I'm gonna throw some quick numbers out there. Just give me 1 second. A lot of people that do have mental health disorders, they tend to smoke a lot of tobacco products. About 30% of people that suffer from anxiety and depression tend to be addicted to tobacco products as well. And people that have schizophrenia, that number jumps to about 70 to 80% of tobacco use. So the more severe your mental health disorder is, the more likely you are to smoke. So just this is just tobacco products. And there's a lot of different reasons why people choose to have substance abuse as a form of, self I call it self medication. A lot of people have dealt with a lot of trauma, a lot of stress can bring on substance abuse. People that have PTSD will turn to substance abuse. And it's hard. They're still doing studies and stuff to find the reasons why these coexist with each other. Certain medications also can contribute to having a mental health disorder and a substance abuse disorder. That's why it's important to be in conversation with your doctor and the side effects of medication, because they are real and they can cause, some medications can cause suicide as well. I remember some years ago I was taking a medication just for toothache or whatever. And the side effect of that was suicide. And I was taking it for about a week, and I'm sitting there figuring out what's going on with me. I'm having these suicidal thoughts. So I called the doctor and I let them know what was going on. They kind of chuckled in the background a little bit, but it's definitely something that should be looked into. So if you're on medication that's supposed to be helping something and you're not feeling the way you ought to feel, you're starting to feel depressed, anxious, having hallucinations and delusions, talk to your doctor. Maybe you're on the wrong medication, maybe the medication is too strong. Don't let it get to the point where you feel like you're losing your mind or something severe like suicide that happen as an effect of the medication, right? We don't know what's going to work with our bodies. That's why it's basically a try and error thing when it comes to medication. We have to find one that works for us. For me, I'm not big on medication because I don't like dealing with side effects. So I try to find holistic approaches of dealing with these illnesses. So with substance abuse and mental disorders, right? They can coexist. They can exist by themselves. A lot of times, with substance abuse, it really starts from childhood. They say that children with ADHD are more likely to have a abuse as they get older. So you definitely want to watch out for your child if they do have ADHD. A lot of this can be prevented when you take the measures it is, like getting the help that they need as a child. A lot of children, they go underdiagnosed or overdiagnosed, having ADHD. So it's important to watch your child, figure out their needs, figure out what's going on, talk to their pediatrician, and find the best plan that works for your child. Medication doesn't necessarily always works for a child. Sometimes it takes, sitting down and coming up with a different plan. But that's something to pay attention to. Try to prevent, having a substance abuse as possible. A lot of times with children, though, we don't know that they are addicted to something until it becomes a bad habit, right? A lot of children, they experiment and stuff, and so we don't pay attention to the signs. So definitely pay attention to the warning signs. If you have a child that's been isolated, have a child that's the behavior has changed dramatically, they may be doing some drugs that can be causing a behavior change in them. They may be hiding it. And also, if they are doing drugs, it could be a result of the ADHD, or they can be suffering from another mental health disorder as well. So it's important to have a communication with your child so you know what's going on. And this goes for adults as well. Like, if you're an adult that you are dealing with a lot of emotional trauma, it can lead to a substance abuse, right? So when you're depressed, what do people mostly do when they're depressed? For me, I like to eat snacks and occasionally I drink. But years ago, I was dealing with depression. I chose alcohol as a form of my medication to help kind of combat what I was going through, because I was ashamed to go to the doctor. So I figured, if I drank every night, it would ease some of the pain. I dealt with a lot of trauma. Trauma is one of those things that a lot of people choose to take drugs or drink alcohol, use tobacco products as a way to alleviate some of the pain. So for me, my trauma, I chose alcohol, and I used to drink every day. for 2 months straight. And it wasn't just one drink, it was multiple drinks just to ease some of the pain of losing someone that's really close to you. And I had to kind of stop myself. And when I say my son kind of saved me, I was drinking really heavy up until I found out I was pregnant with him. And then I decided to make a change. But it not always that easy. Sometimes you do need outside help, and that is okay. That's what the therapists are there for. That's what psychologists are there for. That's what your primary doctor is there for. And if they don't want to listen to you, you can change who you have as your doctor. You don't have to stick with one just because the insurance. I know I have Medicaid, so most of the time they just pick somebody for you. You can choose the way that you get help. You can be active in your approach to getting the help that you need. But again, like definitely pay attention to trauma. People that are under a lot of stress, they tend to turn to something that can alleviate the pain. The pain, excuse me. Alcohol, drugs, marijuana is a drug, heroin, cocaine, and it's other drugs that I don't have a list of right now. Nicotine is one of those things that we don't look at as a I guess a drug, but it is a drug because we become addicted to it, right? We become dependent on it um, as a way to alleviate some of our stress. And when you have anxiety, especially with combining it with nicotine, it actually can make your anxiety worse. Now, we think it makes it better, but what nicotine does is it increases our heart rate, right? And so when you have anxiety, that increases your heart rate. And so those two combined can create havoc inside of you. So you don't know if it's from the ingredients in the nicotine or it's you're really having a panic attack. So definitely pay attention to what's going on in your life. Also, biological factors can contribute to the reason why people choose to have substance as their way of healing. Um, that's why it's important to have a conversation with your family to see what mental health issues they have, or if you have substance abuse um, in your family. I know from my family, on my dad's side, a lot of people were addicted to alcohol, and it definitely ran from my father, his father, my grandmother, and at some point, someone has to take control of that. And if you find yourself repeating these patterns of your parents, talk to them. A lot of parents don't want to talk about addiction and stuff like that. It's one of them things people feel like they not addicted, they can get a hang of it. But if you find yourself, you have to have something every day that is an addiction. And what addiction does is addiction can cause a lot of relationships to fail. Addiction can cause you to change who you are, right? It's a lot of people that become a totally different person when they're on drugs or they are consuming alcohol. And then they don't realize the damage that they leave once the drugs wear off, the alcohol wear off. But once you create issues, they're always going to be there. So it's important to figure out what's going on in your body, right? And also, environmental can affect your behavior as well and what you choose to do. Um, what your living situations. So, for example, like in communities that are not well off, being in that community can also affect um, your mental health issues as well. And it is readily available, right? If you go and you're stressed and you have something there that people, tell you, oh, this can help ease your pain. Some people, they're strong enough, they'll be like, no, I'm okay. But, you have other people that will try something, and sometimes trying something will lead to a harsher drug. And that's what typically happens, during a child's experimental phase. Being a teenager, you want to try, you want to fit in. You typically will try stuff just to be okay with everyone else, not realizing that it can become a habit. And that's why it's important to pay attention to your surroundings, your environment, and it's up to us too, right, to build up our community and make it stronger, and pay attention to those things that can that are around us, right? Is peer pressure is definitely one of those things that happens with each and every one of us. And letting children know that they don't have to do certain things to fit in. And at the end of the day, we're going to be who we are. You can't prevent children from go out there and experiment, but at least give them like the knowledge and the information that's available, and let them know the effects of it. And I think a lot of times when people experiment with drugs and alcohol, they don't see the long term effects of it. They just want something to take away the pain right now. And when you suffer from mental health issues, that's all you want to do, right? You just want to ease the pain, and sometimes that drink, sometimes that drug, take it take away the pain momentarily, and then you find yourself you're needing it every day just to survive, and that's when it becomes a problem. Anything that you can't find yourself pulling away from on a day-to-day basis can lead to issues. And food is not really a substance abuse, but you can use food as well. Like when people consume large quantities of food to fill the void, right, to fill an emotional pain, that is an addiction as well. So you have to look at all these different things that can contribute to having substance abuse and mental health disorders as well. I talked about trauma and childhood experiences, PTSD as well. Everything starts a lot of times from the beginning. So we have to pay attention to our childhood. We have to pay attention to the things that we allow in our lives that can affect us as well. If you have people in your circle that's doing things that you don't want to do, you might have to change your circle of friends, and it kind of gets you sad because you don't want to leave people behind. But if you know that they are doing behaviors that is going to stunt your growth or is going to affect you in the long term, sometimes you got to let people and places go, especially your surroundings as well. So I talked about nicotine, and also you can be addicted to more than one thing as well. So a lot of times, people that are addicted to alcohol, most of the time, most likely, they are addicted to nicotine as well. 23% of people that are addicted to alcohol are addicted to nicotine. Um, and people that smoke marijuana. Also, about 40% of people that smoke marijuana is addicted to alcohol, and then it's like 32% that's addicted to nicotine. Cocaine, a lot of people that are addicted to cocaine, 60% of them are also addicted to alcohol. So these numbers get higher as the drug choice gets more severe. But there's no right, or I'm saying a less impact drug to choose whether you are trying to deal with issues or not. I'm not going to say they're good or bad, right? As I travel along this journey of having my own mental health issues, having judgment is not a good thing, right? We don't know what people are going through and why they do the things that they do, right? And why they choose the drug that they do. Pain is a real thing. And so when you suffer from mental health disorders or illnesses, you just want the pain to stop. And so they they're finding something that can alleviate the pain. After a while, you take so much of something, it's not working, so you want something stronger. And unfortunately, a lot of people do overdose on drugs trying to take the pain away, because what certain drugs do, I know ecstasy and mushrooms, they take you somewhere else, right? They take you mentally somewhere else, and for that moment, you have some peace, not realizing the effects that it does on your body. After a while, we know that alcohol, you know, damages our liver, but people still do it. And then some people become so dependent on alcohol, they can't really live without it. So when they stop it, they actually are worse off than they were if they have it. So we definitely have to pay attention to everything that is a contributing factor in why we suffer from mental health and why we are addicted to those things that we do. Conversation is important. All these things play an important role in it, and also our brain chemistry. Um, People, they show a correlation between having schizophrenia and also cocaine and heroin use. The part of our brain is similar. So it's hard to they're still doing research, and so they're trying to figure out, finding a way to combat these. And it's a struggle because a lot of people don't report, information and stuff like that. Or when you do take surveys or go to the doctors and they ask you if you do use drugs, a lot of people, won't tell the doctor for fear of getting judged. And so I think it's important that we use less judgment on people that we find that are addicted to these things, because we don't know what they're dealing with, right? A lot of people definitely turn to drugs as a form of dealing with their trauma. People that have been raped tend to, isolate themselves. And if you find someone that's doing drugs or drinking a large amount of alcohol in isolation, that is a warning sign. So just offer them conversation, see if what you can do to help them. At the end of the day, some people don't want help. Some people like the way that they feel when they are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and you have to just let them be where they're at. But definitely offer help when it's um, when it's necessary, or if they're reaching out, right? Some people choose to be addicted, if that makes any sense. There is help out there, if they want it. We can only want so much from people. They have to want it themselves. And addiction is a very real thing, right? It does something to our brain, and we find ourselves wanting it, and it's important. It makes us feel good, and I think that's why a lot of people choose to be addicted to certain things. Is like it makes us feel good, and we just want to feel wanted. And for us, that drug of choice makes us feel like we are better off, having that in our lives. And it's kind of like I guess, a person replacement, or we're trying to replace something with this drug. And it's important that we get the help that we need. But a lot of people don't want to go out there, right? They don't see themselves as having issues until it's too late. A lot of people have damaged, I said this before, relationships because of their addiction. I remember I used to work at Wawa, and it was a guy that used to stand outside there every day, and he was addicted to alcohol. He used to panhandle to get money so he can buy alcohol every day, and he used to drink straight liquor every day. He lost his family. He was found on the side of the road a few times because of his addiction. He had to go back home and live with his mom. He was like 50, 60 something years old. And that's what addiction does. But people, you don't know the pain behind that, right? After, talking to him, realize that a lot of things happen to him in his life. So don't be quick to judge people, especially when they do suffer from mental health issues as well. Um, they want to get help, but they don't know how to, right? And maybe some things are just that too painful that they can't tell anyone else. And so they rather deal with it by themselves. And so, just be there as a support. And then eventually people do find their own way. Just the information needs to be available as well. They're working hard on going into communities and trying to get people to heal as best as possible. It's not an easy journey when you suffer from mental health disorders and substance abuse, and then when you have both of them at the same time, it definitely creates a lot of chaos internally. You're struggling, and you just want help. And definitely pay attention to your family. Family's important. It all starts in the beginning, right? Pay attention to what you have. Like, if you have children, pay attention to what you expose them to, because exposure also can be a contributor factor into the reason why people are addicted. If you're around someone that constantly, see them drinking or smoking, you want most likely want to try it. And especially children are so vulnerable, they don't know the effects of it. They do what they have around them until they get older. I remember growing up, my mom used to store beer in our refrigerator, and me and mom brother one day. We were like 10, 9 years old. We decided to take a drink. Maybe that contribute to part of the reason why I was addicted to alcohol for a little bit. So definitely pay attention to what you have around your children. Pay attention to your surroundings. Just be honest with yourself. And a lot of us don't want to do that, right? May our pain may be too much burden to bear, so we chose to quiet those thoughts, and that's what a lot of people choose to drink, choose to smoke, choose to take drugs. They're trying to quiet those thoughts that don't want to go away. But eventually, we have to deal with our stuff, and it's it's scary, right? To deal with everything that we had to deal with, all the pain and stuff. But again, people are there to help. We just have to be willing to take that chance and say, I'm ready to be helped. And some people, they go on about their life and then they feel like they don't have a problem. And then we have to let them be where they are. And we can't force people to get help if they don't want it for themselves. Um, it's definitely left up to us to get the help that we need, and we don't have to suffer as long as we do. We choose when we stop suffering, and it sounds like it's easier said than done. It's not easy to make a choice and say, hey, I got this problem, right? I need help. Because people do judge you, and people still judge you. They say they don't, but they do. You hear, those snide remarks and stuff, or people talk behind your back, or oh, that's the drunk aunt and uncle. They always fighting and stuff like that. It's reasons behind everything, I believe. And maybe some people do just like being drunk or being high all the time, and that's okay, right? We don't have a right to judge because we are not perfect ourselves. And definitely, if you are suffering, reach out to your doctor, and they can get the help that you need. No, you don't have to get on medication to get help. Um, I, for me, I chose to deal with it, on a day-to-day basis. I fight my mental health issues. The only thing right now that I'm addicted to is nicotine, which is not that great. I'm not telling people that it is. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can actually stop so I can have the best health that I can. Um, Realizing that, it can be contributing more to my anxiety and my panic. But it's definitely a journey we learn every day, right? So I offer holistic healing for mental health, holistic healing for those addictions. A lot of times we're addicted to things because there's something going on internally, and it definitely um, feeds into that. Like, right, you take a sip of alcohol, you feel like you're somewhere else, right? And especially when you're in that drunk state, it makes you feel so much better, but not realizing that it can also be contributing to a lot of things that you suffer from. I know when I drink too much, the next day I have bad panic and anxiety. So paying attention to what you're doing to your body, right? We control what goes in our body. And it is a long journey, but it can be helped. You have to choose if today is going to be your day that you give yourself a fighting chance. And there's no judgment if you want to have a conversation about addiction or substance abuse or mental health. You can always inbox me, Christina McIntyre, or BYC, Become Your C, on Facebook. I'm definitely open. I've dealt with a lot of things in my life, and I'm not ashamed of any of it. It's definitely been a fight, but I've learned from everything that I've gone through. And that's what you will do too, right? You'll learn through the things that you've gone through, why you do the things that you do, and it is a happy side at the end of all that. Like, yeah, you might have to go through some crap in the beginning. It's going to be painful dealing with the trauma that you have dealt with, or dealing with those imbalances and stuff. But you can definitely have a happier life. You can have a peaceful life. You can find some purpose in your life when you choose you every single day. And then that is it for this week. And if you're interested, again, if you're interested in donating to the homeless, please inbox me. I am trying to figure out ways that we can definitely give back to our community. Definitely go visit my website, www.becomeyourc.com, and follow me on Instagram, Become Your C. Also, tune in each and every Sunday at 12 p.m. Mental Health Talk on cmpradio.net. Don't forget to download the Live 365 app to listen on Sundays, 12 p.m., Wednesdays, and Fridays at 2 p.m. And if you're interested in being a sponsor, let me know. I can help you with that as well. Remember, you are worth it and worthy and valuable. You're an intricate part of the universe and you matter. Fall in love with yourself so the world can fall in love with you. Till next time.